SQL Server provides a few extensions for summarizing data that aren't implemented in other versions of the database. So my advice would be to use these with some care, because if you ever need to move your code over to a different database, you're going to have to rewrite this code. And I won't ask you to do any of these on your homework assignments, but I think it's worth spending a few minutes to actually look at what they do and how they work. And then we'll also see some ways that are a little more portable to do the same thing that aren't quite as concise. So I'm going to start with the names database, and I'm going to write an aggregate query that groups by 3 different values. So let's start by using names. So I'm going to select, let's just start with top 50 star from, and then let's go all data. And I'm going to group, actually I'm going to select first where metaphone equals MRK. So that's going to be the variance of the name Mark. And then I'm going to group by year, gender, and name. And then I won't be able to select top 50 star. And there should, and I actually want all the rows coming back. So let's go ahead and select year, gender, name, and count. And actually, let's do sum of name count. As total. And that's going to show me aggregated the total number of people with a particular name in a particular year, particular gender, so all distinct combinations of year, gender, and name for the variance of the name Mark. So let's execute that, and I'll do the names as well, use names. Okay, and for reasons that will become clear later on, I'm going to add an order by here. Year descending, gender descending, and name descending. So this is the only sort order that's really supported by these summary extensions that we're looking at. You can sort in different orders, but the summary rows are going to be in weird places in the results. So what did I get? So in 2014, the male, for males named Mirko, okay, there were 16, and in 2014, males named Mirak were 7, and so on. So this is showing me for each combination of year, gender, and name, where the name is in the set MRK, metaphone MRK, it shows me the total number of babies registered with that name. So the summary data is, let's look at the rollup function first. And in this group by line, let me go ahead and make a copy of this. And in the group by line, I'm going to add with rollup. And then execute it again. And then all of the rows that I'm getting back are the same, but there's additional rows added in. So you'll see that here is year and gender specified, but name is null. And this is really the aggregate value for all of the names above in 2014 with gender male for Mark, Mark, Marco, Mark, and so on. So it's aggregating all of these values, summing all of these values up to come up with this summary line. And then same thing, if I scroll down a little further, I'm going to get this one here, 2014 female. And then I also get aggregate statistics for 2014. So this is going to show all the sum of all of the names from MRK, both male and female, all the variants of MRK. And then if I scroll down further, I'm going to get the same thing with 2013 male, and then 2013 female, and then everything from 2013. So basically, it's taken all of these lines, as in the previous version of the query, and it's added that summary line and this summary line. So that's adding a lot of stuff with the with rollup, but it's nothing that I couldn't do using union. So let's write the same thing, but this time I'm going to use union to get the same result. So I'm going to start with my original set of results. And then so that's just the aggregated version that I started with before. And then if I want to calculate in the year 2014 gender male, and the year 2015 gender male, year 20, and so on, that query is going to look like this. So let me copy that. So instead of name, I'm going to put null here, just a constant value null. And instead of grouping by year, gender, and name, I'm just going to group by year and gender. And if I execute, and let me go ahead and alias that, even though the value is just null. If I execute this query, so these are the summary lines I got for 2014, 2013, 2012, and all the way down to 1915. So here are the original lines, here are the summary lines. You'll notice that I have the same number of columns and the same type of data in each column, so I can just union these. And execute. Up, and I made a mistake. So let's see what I have. Oh, I don't want that order by there. The order by only goes on the last one. And let me move that down just a bit. There. Okay, so now I have my one bucket for each gender, year, and name. There's my summary line for 2014. And I see it's 4279. Let's do the other one. So this is the one with rollup, and I should get 4279 for that first summary line. And I do 4279. So it's producing the same results for each of the year gender aggregates. I also need to add this summary line here. And this one is just grouping on year. So basically it's going to look exactly like this one. So this part, I'm going to add another query. But this time, instead of gender, I'm going to return null as gender. And I'm just going to group by year. So if I execute that, here are my summary lines for each year. And once again, I can union those in with my results from before. I only have the order by on the last one. And let me execute this. And so that's going to be, so I have my summary line for 2014 male, and my summary line for 2014 female, and then my summary line overall. So 226, 4505, 226, 4505. Here's the roll-up version. And then scroll down, 226, 4505. So basically I'm getting the same results, just with a bigger query. But at least this should make clear what ROLLUP is doing. Now, cube is similar, except it includes a few other kinds of aggregates. So what this includes is the original results, and then the same aggregate as before, where it's grouping on year and gender, but using all the names. And year and gender, but all the names. But it's also doing year and name, grouping by year and name, but doing all the genders. And then later on, we'll see it's going to do gender and name. That's probably going to be near the bottom. So if I go all the way to the bottom, I should see, yeah, year and gender. And so this one is grouping by name, but taking all the years and genders. This one is taking one row for everything. And then somewhere up here, there's going to be grouping by gender and name, but taking all the years. So basically, it's all the possible combinations are separately grouped and summarized. So you get year and gender, year and name, gender and name, then just year, just gender, just name, and then one line for everything. So you could see how you could construct that the same way using unions as I did here. I'm just including some additional combinations of groupings to get the cube effect. Now the last extension for this video is the grouping sets extension. So let me start with the original query with cube, and I'm going to put this down here. And in grouping sets, you basically specify which combinations of aggregate you want. And you're only going to get those. So this one is going to include all of the distinct combinations of year, gender, and name. This time, if I say grouping sets, so let's go and do, for example, year and gender. So this is going to give me all the different combinations of year and gender with name null and just that. Oh, and I have to include a name as well here. If I want to include name here, I have to include name there. So execute. All right. So here is just year, and here is just gender, and here is just name. And there should be a row in here that's null, 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 but I think that's a separate grouping set actually. Now I can also add a group to the group. So I can say year and gender, comma, like so. And here I'm getting year and gender, as well as year by itself, gender by itself, and name by itself. And if I wanted all of the original rows, I could do year, gender, name. And that's going to give me one row for each combination of year, gender, and name. And it's going to give me one row for each distinct year. And it's going to give me one row for each distinct gender. And it's going to give me one row for each distinct name. So each row, one row for each distinct combination of year, gender, and name. And then one row for each distinct year. And then towards the bottom, I'm probably going to see, yeah. So here's one row for each distinct name. And probably, yep, right above there, 1 year for each distinct gender. And I may be able to do this to get the summary row for everything. So let's go ahead and execute that. And at the very bottom, I get null, null, null. So basically this is doing the same kind of thing as Cube is doing, except you get to pick which ones you want to include. So you can have a couple of different ways of grouping stuff and then everything gets rolled up. And once again, each of these things could be a separate select statement with aggregation that gets union together like we did with the rollup.